these are very key steps you need to pay attention to. It's usually like a short speech, but for this particular part of the class, you know you're going to be giving 5 to 6 minute speech. So you make sure you emphasize on the relevant part of those speeches. So prepare your audience. Provide a few minutes of introduction for the speaker as appropriate before the occasion. So you need to let your audience know. So imagine we're going to be doing a lot of like activities in this class, before the end of this class rather, for different types of those special occasion speeches. So this is a very short speech, but you just have to focus on the very important parts of that introduction. So for instance, if you're going to be introducing like a best-selling author, you would know to emphasize on the specific popular books that person has spoken about. So if you're going to be talking about Barack Obama, I'm sure there's no how you're going to like have to introduce him without talking about him being the past president of the United States of America. So you have to be able to stick to very accurate and up-to-date information when you're introducing somebody. So can anybody give me another scenario? Basically, like what scenario would you use like speeches of introductions for? Yes, very, very true. Yeah, very, very true. So later, that's thank you for that response. So that's very true because, for instance, later on this in this class, we're going to be talking about winning, the kind of speech you give when you win an award. So imagine somebody was going to win an award, and you would always have that person that would kind of like give like a biography of that person. This is what this person has done. This is how this person has impacted different people. Just like a speech of introduction, just to get the person on board to get the award. So that's very, very true. So these are very key steps to pay attention to when doing your speeches of introduction. Prepare the audience, like make them interested in that person. Be accurate and up to date. So if that person won an award like last year, just make sure that it's very important that you mention that as well. Make sure that whatever, so research is very important in this particular speech because you need to know that person and the very up-to-date information that person has. So connect with your audience, draw a connection. Some people use humor in this speech as well. They use certain stories. So if that person that is about to like introduce that person as a bit of like short story that connects them together. So imagine I was going to introduce Barack Obama, and maybe sometime in the past I read a very interesting book by him. I can try to like infuse that in that introduction as well. So just always find things that would draw that connection with your audience. Are we clear on this? Yeah, so now you're going to get into groups of 4. So, and you're going to work for the next like 2 minutes, you're going to work on a short speech of introduction. So what we're going to do is you pick one person in that group that is going to be the one to be introduced. So you get relevant information from that person. Then you select somebody that's going to be presenting it in the front of the class. Are we clear? So what we're doing is we're getting the group of 4. One person is being introduced, get enough information from that person, and you all work on the person that is going to come and introduce that person in your group. Clear? Yeah, so group of 4, you have 3 minutes to do that. Yeah. Don't forget, get as much information as you can from the person. And make sure you have like an interesting fact that can connect with the audience.
Okay.
Okay, time's up. First group. Time's up, time's up, time's up. Yeah, you all did excellently well for the introduction. I like the fact that you had like stories. There was a bit of like connection as well to the person you were introducing as well. So that's very good. So now we're moving to the acceptance speech. So just like you had cited the other time, so imagine you use the speech of introduction to introduce that speaker or introduce that person that's coming to receive the award. But what that person does when the person gets to the front of the crowd is to give that acceptance speech. So acceptance speech are always usually very interesting because Most times, I'm sure when you watch, be it the Grammys or the Oscars, you would see how people would come and share particular very heartwarming stories of how they have to go through a lot to achieve this. It just, that's all strategies to kind of like connect with the audience, because everybody loves a very interesting story that says, okay, yes, I can actually do this as well. So you have to be very thankful and humble. Make it sound like no matter what you've achieved in life, this is actually very important to you. So you have to sound very thankful and humble. Starting with, oh, thank you guys very much, thank you very much, thank you. They always be a bit dramatic with it, but you get what I mean. Yeah, thank you very. You have to be very appreciative and humble as you receive this award. Another thing you need to make sure of, you have to keep it brief. For this class, 5 to 6 minute speech. So I know, I'm saying keep it brief, but the requirement for this class is a 5 to 6 minute speech. So please try to infuse stories and whatever to make sure that it's up to 5 to 6 minutes. Then you have to put the award into context. So whatever it is you're winning. So imagine winning the Grammys. Oh, dear musician. Imagine winning the Grammys. So you would have to contextualize it and say, okay, yes, oh, I'm so happy to be winning this Grammys. I've worked so hard. I've won this. Late nights at the studios, trying to make this. There just has to be that story that connects with your audience. Yeah, I'm sounding like I've won one before. Yes, I know. Yes. so you have to just find a way to connect with your audience. And it's always the stories. You have to just find a way to infuse those stories to when you're doing your acceptance speech. Are we clear on that? People always love this. A lot of students are always going for this because it makes them dramatic and tell a lot of stories that will connect with people. Another type of speech is the speeches of tribute and the eulogy. So the tribute can be anything. There might be a particular professor that you admire so much. There can be a particular writer, a particular author, or anybody, be it like a politician or a very popular celebrity that you just admire a lot of things that they do and you like to like write about them. So it means it's basically just giving giving credit, respect, admiration, gratitude to a person or a group of people. And this involves like a lot of research. This involves like just make sure you're able to gather enough stories and enough like examples, a lot of projects. For instance, if you're going to talk about a particular celebrity that yes is popular for has won a lot of awards, but does a lot of like social impact projects, you may just like, oh yes, I admire this person did this, just like get a lot of like information on what that person does, like outside that particular thing you admire that person for. Or even if it's that just for that music or for that acting, if the person has won like lots of awards, you mention those awards that, okay, I admire this person. And be it, even if it's just sports, I've had someone do like a tribute to Cristiano Ronaldo and just like mentioned like a lot of things, a lot of like awards, a lot of like special moments. Like the first time he fell in love with Cristiano Ronaldo, he mentioned that as well in his speech. So there are different ways to connect to your audience. And most times it's always like stories or just always finding that connection that every other person in the room can relate with. Because at the end of the day, yes, you're giving your speech, but just make sure that whatever thing you're saying is a way to like kind of like captivate your audience that, oh, people are like, wow, that person did that. That's admirable. So very similar to eulogy. Like if there's a particular person or a pet or something very special to you, you losing someone that's very special to you, you can just write something about that person. And this also involves stories. So for instance, if you're writing, if you're presenting an eulogy about your pet, so I'm sure you would have to go way back to, oh, the first time you walked in, I picked you up somewhere, or the first time you came visiting, or the first time my cousin gave you to me as a birthday gift. There has to be that genesis, like that introduction to how you met that person. And if it's like your great grandmother, they're writing like this eulogy for, there are stories that connect. Or how she taught you how to bake, how she taught you how to do this. There just has to be that story so you kind of like connect with your audience. Are we clear on that?